Good morning, everyone, or should I say good afternoon and good evening to our global audience. I'm Tony Cook. I'm trustee of the McJannet Foundation, and I'd like to welcome you to the awards ceremony for this year's McJannet Prize for Global Citizenship. It's wonderful that we can gather like this to celebrate those exceptional programs and the people who devoted their time and energy to improving the lives of our fellow citizens. I'm here in San Francisco, California, although as you can see, I have a view of the village of Talloires, France behind me, and more on that in a minute. But first, I'd like to tip my hat to the two university presidents who may be among us, President Anthony Monaco of Tufts and President Lawrence Bacco of Harvard, for their endorsement of the McJannet Prize program over the years. I'd also like to thank the members of the McJannet Foundation, including our president, Tony Kleitz, who's probably calling in from Paris, and the board members who have generously supported the program for the past 12 years. I'd also like to salute the new Dean of Tisch College of Civic Life, Dr. Dana Cunningham, and Dr. Laurleen Hoyt, our friend, the executive director of the network, and her staff, along with the officers and partners in the Talloires network. Thank you, Laurleen, for sustaining the prize program through the global pandemic, and we applaud your increasing focus on student leadership in the network. So I'm today going to, hold on one sec. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the prize, including the story of the people whose name it bears, namely Donald and Charlotte McJannet. Who were they? Well, briefly, Donald McJannet was an inspiring and innovative American educator who operated schools and camps in France during the 20th century that championed hands-on learning, character development, and international understanding for more than 40 years. Here he is leading a hike up the mountain in the 1920s near the village of Talloires, located in the French Alps. Donald's wife, Charlotte Blensdorf McJannet, was a teacher of music and movement who led the arts education program at the McJannet schools and camps. Charlotte was born in Germany and during the 1930s renounced Nazism and became a passionate advocate for cross-cultural understanding among people from around the world. She and Donald were both witnesses to the two world wars in the 20th century, and they joined hands in supporting international education and refugee relief. Today, we call them citizens of the world, educators who impacted generations of students, and their legacy flourishes today through the McJannet Foundation and the Tufts University European Center in Talloires, France. The McJannet story starts a little over 100 years ago in 1916, when Donald learned how to fly after graduating from Tufts University and then ultimately ended up in Paris, the chaperone for a group of traveling American students. Donald studied French in college, and when he got to Paris, he began tutoring students who were learning the language. First, he tutored one student, then two, then five, and soon he had a school called the Elms that catered to the many expatriate American and other European families that were living in Paris at that time. His students called him Mr. Mac, and as an educator, what he believed in was learning by showing and telling. He used the castles, monuments, museums, factories, battlefields to create teachable moments. And he called this process learning by doing. In the summer, he escorted his students to Lake Annecy in the Haute-Savoie, not far from Geneva, Switzerland, a place that offered a rare combination of natural beauty and colorful history. Starting in the summer of 1924, Mr. Mack introduced his American students and teachers to the first outdoor McJannet camp on Lake Annecy in the French Alps. And here they are. It's very rustic, but they're, as they say, camping out. Soon the camp attracted young people from around the world, drawn by the dramatic surroundings as well as the Mac's notion that learning should be a spectacular experience. The camp emphasized mutual respect and appreciation of cultural differences. Now, the emphasis at the school and the camp was on scholarship, adventure, and the arts. And the students and campers, including my own father, pictured here on the right-hand side at the glacier at Chamonix, were marked for life by their youthful experiences. Many graduates went on to distinguished careers in international business, law, banking, diplomacy, and government service. The Mcjanet's recognizable alumni included Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who established the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme based on his McJanet experience, and Indira Gandhi, who attended the camp and later became Prime Minister of India. McJanets were also witnesses to the violence and economic hardships of the 20th century, including the Second World War, when they lost their school and camp, escaped to America to work on overseas relief efforts. They also launched another school in an equally spectacular environment, the mountains of Sun Valley, Idaho, in the US. But fortunately for us, after the war, they reopened their camp on Lake Annecy, first for French war orphans, later for other Americans and Europeans, young people from diverse backgrounds and cultures, mixed happily for 8 weeks in the summer. In the nearby village of Talloires, the Mcjanets purchased an ancient priory, part of a local monastery constructed in the 11th century. They restored Le Prieuré and lived there in the summer, entertaining friends and former students. As they grew older, they also raised the initial funding for a foundation in their name devoted to the promoting individual potential through civic education and international understanding. The original trustees were former students, teachers, and administrators, all disciples of the McJanet philosophy. In 1978, the Macs donated Le Prieuré to his alma mater, Tufts University. Tufts eventually turned this magnificent building into a unique center for civic education and cross-cultural enrichment. And that same Tufts European Center has now grown into a celebrated venue for cultural and intellectual exchange. And I invite you to go there for a visit. It's very beautiful. The McJanet Foundation provides scholarships, grants, and awards to sustain the spirit of its founders and their values: integrity, curiosity, and community service. In 2005, the Prieuré hosted the first gathering of 26 university presidents and chancellors from around the world who formed the Talloires network to build and promote civic engagement programs at their schools. And it wasn't long before the cause of student service learning and civic engagement became a global phenomenon as it is now. Meanwhile, the board members of the McJanet Foundation were inspired by the work being done around the world by the students and faculty in the Talloires network. In 2007, 3 of us, all former McJanet campers, joined hands in creating the McJanet Prize to recognize outstanding student service learning and civic engagement programs pursued by the Talloires network institutions worldwide. We wanted to honor the memory of the McJanets and to champion the cause of civic education, community service, and the idea of learning by doing in the McJanet way to keep the cause growing around the world. Here we are pictured as young people in Talloires. It's me and my motorcycle visiting the McJanets, my camp buddy on the lower right, George Halsey, who, like me, eventually served as president of the foundation. And in the upper right, Rob Hollister, later Dean of Tufts Tisch College of Citizenship and Public Affairs, now the Jonathan Tisch College of Civic Life. The McJanet Prize was first awarded at Le Prieuré in Talloires in June 2009. And I hope someday that we can return there for these awards. Since then, our foundation has granted $225,000 to the winning programs, and the recognition and support is now so coveted that universities have joined the network to compete for the prize, something we never anticipated. What's most impressive is that some of the early prize winners, like the Community Action Program in vulnerable neighborhoods in the University of Buenos Aires in Argentina in 2011, have sustained and grown their programs over the years to the point where they can truly serve as inspiration for others around the world. We think of the award as a very small scale version of the Nobel Prize, but consider this: the Nobel Prize was named for the inventor of dynamite. Our prize is named for two educators who taught their students the value of public service and volunteerism. Since we launched the prize in 2009, the Talloires network has grown to 417 colleges and universities in 79 nations. 525 programs have submitted applications, and 64 winners and runners-up have been chosen from 26 different countries. Excuse me. The ones illustrated here are the University of Zimbabwe, the American University of Beirut, Zayuddin University in Karachi, Pakistan, and the Tecnológico de Monterrey campus in Guadalajara, Mexico. Each year, we are so impressed by the quality of the programs around the globe, like the ones from last year's winners at Ngee Polytechnic in Singapore. The network members have accumulated much experience about what works and what doesn't, and these lessons from the winning programs now serve as models for the world. So now you know the Mcjanet story. Their legacy is built on the foundation of learning and service. Lesson number 1, teachers matter. Lesson number 2, character counts, along with pursuing the idea of leaving the world better than you found it. Lesson number 3, as illustrated by the young people in this photo and on this Zoom call today: students can change their societies and the world for the better. Yes, you can. Yes, you are. So that's the history of the Mcjanet Prize and the people behind it. The Mcjanets would be truly awed by the work you are all doing, and if they were here today, they'd say, well done. So now let's introduce and celebrate this year's winners of the Mcjanet Prize for Global Citizenship. They were each chosen after a review of the 28 nominations in 15 countries by the Secretariat. The prize winners were determined after a selection committee of leaders in higher education civic engagement reviewed the 10 finalists from 8 countries. The third place winner, the Humanizing Healthcare program at the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. Shortlisted for the Mcjanet Prize in 2018, the Humanizing Healthcare program began as Humanizing Dentistry and has since expanded to the fields of optometry and pharmacy. This project aims to expand the role of civic engagement in the healthcare field and curriculum, and as they said in their application, quote, is based on the premise that we cannot create excellent healthcare professionals of tomorrow without creating engaged ones today. In practice, students lead programs and deliver free health services to communities, including refugees, asylum seekers, LGBTQ+ community members, and native non-English speakers, aiming to break down the barriers to healthcare that these communities often face. Congratulations, Humanizing Healthcare, and the program representatives, Dr. Senathir Ariatnam, Dr. Hema Radhakrishnan, and Dr. David Allison. And I think we should probably, all celebrate these people at the end of the announcement by, recognizing applause, finger waves, thumbs up, etc., as we run through our program. Congratulations to our third place winner. Our second place winner is the Art of Giving program from Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology in Bhubaneswar, India. The Art of Giving program strives to share the spirit of generosity and kindness to their members. to their community and the world in order to address a variety of social issues. The program offers resources and student-led initiatives to improve access to inclusive education, support gender equality, uplift indigenous communities, and promote sustainable development. The Art of Giving program staff say the program, quote, acts as a bridge between students and the indigenous community. Students need to understand and empathize with the problems that exist outside the four walls of the university. And, you know, isn't that exactly what all of the programs are aiming to do, which is to bind the university or the college to the community. The program representatives here today are Dr. Achyuta Samanta, Dr. Deepa Prasad, and Suraj Kamar. Congratulations to you to all of you for your wonderful program. And our first place winner is the 9/10 program at Rhodes University in Grahamstown, South Africa. The 9/10 program was born out of the need to address the unequal education sector in Makanda in the Eastern Cape province. 9/10 provides mentorship and increased access to education to improve pass rates at local no-fee schools. Utilizing student volunteers to lead programs and provide education and mentoring, the program strives to revitalize education in Makanda, enhances access to tertiary education, and equip young people to transform their socioeconomic status. The success of the program is evident in the increasing pass rates of university entrance level exams. That's an extraordinary achievement, and we congratulate you. The program representatives are Anna Lindwee Press Talbot, Claire McCann, and Diana Hornby. Now let's all celebrate the winners gathered here with our silent applause and finger waves, and hats off to all of them. And now I'd like to introduce Alex Fagnani, the Global Programs Graduate Assistant at the Talloires Network of Engaged Universities. Alex will lead a panel discussion to hear more about the vital work these programs are doing in their communities. Alex, over to you.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction. I really look forward to this conversation. A crucial component of community engagement and service is strong leadership. And so to start off the conversation, I would welcome each group to describe the types of leadership roles your students in your program are a part of and examples of how the program has contributed to building civic values and skills for students. We can start off with the 9/10 program and then the Art of Healthcare.
Thank you very much. I think the first thing is the fact that I'm sitting here today as a student on this panel in between these two amazing young women really speaks to the opportunities for representation and leadership for students in the program. Students are integral to 9/10. Students can apply to be student leaders at the beginning of the year, and they are then elected to take accountability for and ownership over mentor groups of students. These student leaders are the main line of communication for the program, and in many ways that makes them the lifeblood for the program, because they form the linkage between the various stakeholders, between the university student mentors, the community partners, the Rhodes University Community Engagement Division, and the mentees or the grade 12 learners. This has been an essential role as we have moved towards virtual mentoring in the past 2 years as a result of the pandemic, and we've had to navigate a digital divide using innovative virtual platforms. Other responsibilities for student leaders include playing an important role in implementing the training process, as well as being the first point of call for challenges that mentees or mentors may experience. From my personal experience, being a student leader and a mentor in 9/10 has shown me the importance of empathy and vulnerability in authentic leadership and in creating inclusive teams. I think I speak for all of my fellow university mentors and student leaders when I say that this program has created in us a socially conscious and self-reflective form of citizenship, deeply embedded in our own Mcjanet context. For me, it has illustrated the capacity to contribute to positive change. When the problems of the world can appear quite daunting, it shows how we can create change in our local contexts and the huge impact that comes to have globally. One thing that is really special that I would like to highlight about the program is it doesn't just cultivate civic values and leadership in the students, but also in the grade 12 learners or the mentees. When we have our quarterly analysis meetings, the student leaders represent the students, but also elected learners, grade 12 learners at the schools come to represent their student body, which is very important. Today, I am part of a mini conference between the University of the Free State and my university, Rhodes University. And I feel privileged to be among many of my fellow student leaders who are either leaders in the 910s program or in other programs. These leaders have nurtured their leadership capacity through community engagement, and they have gone on to lead in other important spaces. Some of them are now leaders in their residences. Some have become coordinators in the Rhodes University Community Engagement Division. And some have been elected to be on our Student Representative Council, advocating for students and the transformation of the university. I am so grateful for the opportunity 910s has given me to nurture my leadership, and I'm thrilled to be among so many amazing change makers today.
Thank you so much for that wonderful response. We can go over to Art of Giving now.
At the outset, my heartfelt congratulations to the recipients of the MacJannet Award. This is a well-deserved recognition, and I'm really thankful for recognizing the Art of Giving initiative of the Kalinga Institute. I'm from the United Nations Population Fund, and UNFPA is glad to be partnering with the Kalinga Institute under the able leadership of Dr. Samantha. We pioneered a program that built leadership, life skills, and active citizenship values among boys and girls from the indigenous and marginalized communities. At the core of UNFPA's mandate is advancing the rights of women and young people. And we were glad that we were partnering with Kalinga Institute, through whom we could reach the farthest behind. We trained about 1,000 young people who were identified through a criterion of being from the most vulnerable and marginalized communities, hard to reach geographies, and also the regions that were under conflict and where many young girls and boys were being lured into joining the armed conflict groups. The trained youth volunteers were supported through mentoring and to start a social action project in their communities. These youth leaders over a period of 2 years have now emerged as change makers in their communities, connecting households and families to welfare programs of the government, positively influencing peers, ensuring gullible youth are not exploited, and engaging in addressing social issues such as child marriage, girls' education, and advancing the sexual reproductive health and rights of young people. They also took up innovative initiatives such as social entrepreneurship, promoting financial literacy, and supporting livelihood programs. The youth volunteers also stood the test of time during the pandemic, where we witnessed these change makers leading awareness programs in some of the very remote regions of Eastern India, promoting COVID-appropriate behaviors, addressing stigma and discrimination against those suspected to have been infected, as large volumes of migrants returned en masse to the villages from these cities. We've seen how young people, when they are trained, nurtured, and mentored, can become the real change agents in their communities. This program, which is titled Uday, which impinges on several factors, is now a rising flame. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we can pass it over to Humanizing Healthcare. I think you might be muted if you're trying to speak.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Thank you, Alex, and thank you for Delaware Network community for organizing this event. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my colleagues and friends all over the globe. Our University of Manchester was founded on the principle of civic engagement in the early part of 19th century and is now further expanded and strengthened in commitment in introducing social responsibility as a core value in addition to research and teaching in the early part of this century. The impact is considerable, and I'm proud to say we achieved the #1 spot globally in the Time Higher Education SDG Impact Ranking in 2021. In this favorable environment, our students are given enough freedom and space to develop themselves by engaging with the community in the structured and non-structured ways. In our Humanizing Health Dentistry program, we have successfully interwoven service learning pedagogy into the dental curriculum and positively interlocked the students' learning experience with combating oral health inequalities in Manchester and further afield. We identified community dental clinics in hard-to-reach and vulnerable community areas and allowed the students to lead oral health programs in a structured way under the supervision of trained dental tutors. For the last 10 years, around 1,000 dental students have led the oral health care programs in the local community, and over 150,000 community members, both children and adults, benefited from this program. In a non-structured way, we encourage students to take initiative in volunteering, and they performed exceedingly well locally with homeless people, refugees, ethnic migrants, LGBT+, and globally engaged with people in 15 low and middle income countries within the last 8 years. Likewise, our optometry students, the eye screening service in university and local centers, and helping 2,500 community members each year. And also they are doing worldwide work with World Vision by helping the community around the world. Now my colleague David will talk about the pharmacy program. David.
Thank you very much, Rajan. I guess we are the kind of junior element here. The pharmacy program has only been running for about the past 4 years. We introduced service learning to our curriculum 4 years ago. We are currently the only school of pharmacy in the UK that does have this, include this as a core element, because it fits in with the ethos of the University of Manchester. Essentially, our program involves penultimate year pharmacy students visiting high schools and in randomized groups of 4 delivering a healthcare awareness message to young learners, 14-year-olds, mainly in socioeconomically deprived areas of Manchester. The vast majority of schools that we work with fall into those areas. We train our students, we give them guidance about key points to deliver on healthcare issues that are relevant to 14-year-olds. So things like stigma, mental health, well-being, antibiotic resistance, diabetes, factors that may affect their healthcare in later life. And that's where our involvement sort of ends, really, because the students then take on the responsibility of running the sessions. They have to organize how to deliver the sessions within themselves. So in that respect, they take on leadership roles. They have to develop classroom management skills. So essentially, we feel that our pharmacy program of service learning does provide a unique leadership role as peer educators to our students. Because of the groups that we work with, it also allows our students to recognize that everyone essentially is different, and that approaches to individuals, to communities, need to be tailored to them specifically. You can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. And I know the feedback that we've had from our students has been very positive, and most of them have kind of recognized that they've developed skills that they hadn't even thought about directly. It was through these direct experiences that they've benefited. I'll finish there, conscious of time.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for your very thoughtful responses. And so another crucial component of civic engagement is the communities that we work with. They play a really important role in shaping the sort of civic engagement that we participate in. And so the next question that I have for all of you is to please describe a little bit about the community partners that contribute to your program. And we can start off with the 9/10 program.
Thank you so much. So my name is Babsi Makombe. I'm from Gedra Education. I'm a Rhodes Community University partner. So the 9/10 mentoring program has been a successful program because of good partnerships between Rhodes University and the Makanda community. Rhodes University partnered with a non-profit organization by the name Gedra Education, where I work, a leading educational organization in Makanda. And together we identified the high schools where this mentoring program is implemented. And so the key driving forces at community level are Gedra Education program managers, the school principals, and most importantly, our 9/10 coordinator teachers. It is because of a community of people that the program is effective and impactful. Different stakeholders play crucial roles at different managerial levels. Gedra Education is one of the oldest organizations in Makanda. It was founded 63 years ago. It has worked in the community space for a long time in the education space. And so it is well versed in terms of the needs and gaps in our education system. And so in this context, Gedra Education is the link between the university and the schools. The one thing that we pride ourselves in and actually feel privileged with in Makanda is that Rhodes University is accessible to its community. Through its community engagement division, it has made it the priority to make connections between connections with its community. So the university recognizes different key community leaders. And this ranges from non-profit organizations, community leaders, and active, engaged citizens, and forms partnerships with them. So its programs or initiatives speak to the needs of the people, and then because of that, the community takes charge and ensures that a program is successful at all levels. A simple example of this would be a 9/10 mentee, for instance, that does not only account to his or her mentor in terms of compliance with the requirements of the program. All our schools have actually incorporated the mentoring program within the formal school activity processes. So the environment in which the program is implemented is conducive. Another example of contribution at community level would be through Gedra education processes. The grade 12 cohort would go through certain preparatory processes so that by the time a mentee has a formal session with his or her mentor, she or he is well equipped and well ready for a mentoring process. So the program is effective because of all of these collective efforts. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we can pass it over to the Art of Giving now.
Suraj, are you coming in? I think I will start off. My colleague was supposed to speak. Thank you for that question. In fact, the program under the Art of Giving was a really challenging one when we started, because we were working in some of the most difficult regions of Eastern India in the state of Odisha. So this program couldn't move if we did not have effective collaboration and partnership with key community players. Young people, when they were trained, they were going back and there wasn't much of an acceptance in the community. This needed a lot of groundwork for these young people to be engaged with the community-based organizations, to build the trust of their communities who are completely cut off or isolated. So after the initial training program, they organized a series of engagement, community awareness programs and community interface programs, which reached out to almost about 30 to 40,000 people from the tribal indigenous communities. And these communities then started slowly engaging with young people, and then they started working with the tribal leaders, elected local representatives, the village level institutions such as the village health and sanitation communities, the women's self-help groups. The main allies for the success of this intervention were the extension workers of different sectors, specifically the health sector, the women and child development sector, and the livelihood sectors. They remained aloof initially, but as young people started moving, engaging with them, taking up social action projects, we could see that there was a tremendous response from various stakeholders. Another key constituency there were the alumni of the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences and the parent associations, where they all of them engaged and worked closely with the community-based organizations and supported the young people to take up various initiatives. So in the long run, young people by themselves can play a very crucial role, provided they have a conducive environment which is supported by key stakeholders in the community. That's it from my side. Suraj, are you there? Do you want to come in and add in any other points?
Well, I mean, Deepa, who's a very important program partner and a friend of long standing with whom we have done several innovations, just wanted to, she has explained the context of the remoteness and the challenges. Just wanted to say that Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, I mean, you know, since we have 27,000 students spread across Orissa, we work with the entire range of community partners. We work with, as she mentioned, we work with the panchayats, we work with the local self-help groups, but above all, and this is a lesson that we have learned due to the impact of the COVID-19 crisis, is that at a time when, you know, neither the government is there to deliver for you, nor is there any donor agency or a very large program that is going to deliver for you, the community must draw upon its own internal resources. And therefore, the art of giving, you know, in times of crisis, sometimes we think that people become more selfish. Our own experience has been, which is a very fortunate one, that the art of giving program, which preceded, of course, the COVID-19 crisis, but the fact that it has been engendered well in our student communities and their families has also played, in my view, a modest role in helping the communities cope with the crisis. So there's not much more to add in addition to what Deepa has said. But I would say that for us, the principal lesson, okay, recently of the experience of maintaining the art of giving going is that, you know, the virtue of generosity is often sort of undercounted. And the virtue of selfishness, which is a topic of a rather bad book by Ayn Rand, is much more promoted. I think that people in times of crisis are able to draw on their inner resources. And if those inner resources are then channeled through the community organization, then you succeed. So that is my main understanding of how we have done with regard to the art of giving. That's it. Thank you very much. And again, since I would like to say it's absolutely incredible to be part of this wonderful occasion. And I do hope that KISS, myself, Deepa and others will continue to be now solid partners of the Talloires network. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And over to Humanizing Healthcare now.
Thanks, Alex. Here I can just start with the one example. Actually, our first language project we did in Humanizing Dentistry. This is to connect the students through their language to the local community. Our university has nearly 40,000 students and are from nearly 130 different countries. Manchester is a global city, and there were more than 150 languages in use currently in use at the moment. So what we did have started pilot project where we have identified student leads with bilingual skills and connected them with the local ethnic same group to provide oral health education in their mother tongue. These local community leaders invited the students lead and their group to their language schools, to their sports events, to their cultural events, to develop intercultural, interactive bonding between our students and the community. So that helped our student lead and his or her group peers to build trust and interact with the local children and their parents effectively, share oral health information, and that produce significant positive impact, both the community and on our students. Through this regular interaction, students get a balanced learning experience, both in academic and humanity aspects, and become socially responsible global graduates. David.
Thanks, Raj. So with the pharmacy program, we tie in with a couple of government recommendations, one of which is to improve the health of the population by the year 2040. So kind of preventative measures rather than curative measures, but also to increase the visibility of healthcare professionals and trainees. And those two fit very nicely with our service learning program, where our students visit local high schools, most of which, there's only one exception for the schools that we work with, they're all in socio-economically deprived areas of Manchester. So there are particular healthcare issues there that might develop. The schools have free rein in choosing the topic that they wish our students to deliver. It can be one topic, it can be a mixture. It's really up to the schools. And all of our workshops follow a similar theme of students talking, interactive activities, and circulating around the classroom. We have discussed with teachers the content. We've looked at the appropriate high school curriculum to see what the young learners are being taught, so we tie in with their educational background. And we also have run focus groups with the young learners themselves to get a feel from them as to what style of teaching they prefer. Is the content appropriate, is age appropriate for them. So we do a lot of background work, and we trial every workshop before we then announce it as part of our program. We adopted the peer education approach just simply because we felt the kind of proximity in age, in many situations, status of our students to the young learners provides a great experience for those on the receiving end. And in addition, I guess we have a subliminal message, which is our students are wandering around when the young learners, the high school pupils, are engaging in activities. They're wandering around just talking to the young learners, and subliminally encouraging them about higher education and the benefits, because many of the pupils that we work with won't be considering higher education. And we have the view that everybody, if they've got the ability, they have the right to attend higher education university. So I feel it's better if people a lot closer in age than me to the young learners are delivering that message. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you all for such wonderful responses. And it was really great to learn more about your programs. And once again, congratulations for being McJannet Prize winners. So to close out our program, I'm going to pass it over to Tony Cook really quickly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those stories. When we first conceived of the prize, we had no idea about the power of sharing the experience with each other. And now, obviously, over the years, we've demonstrated not only the power of these stories, but now that we have technology on our side, so to speak, and we can only envision, how compelling those stories can be to inspire others, as they're shared on Zoom, where we don't have to, get on a plane to tell what happened in our, neck of the woods, so to speak. So thank you so much for sharing those stories. They're very inspirational to those of us who are involved in this program. And we look forward to, working with the Talloires Network people to spread these stories, to inspire other people to support your work, and to really drive home the power of civic engagement. Thanks again for sharing. With that, we're wrapping it up. It's concluding the celebration of the McJannet Prize winners and their work, especially during a pandemic. Hats off to you all for this, really extraordinary achievement in the face of some pretty, stirring odds. Thank you for gathering from near and far for the occasion. And we hope to see you one day soon in Talloires. And we invite everyone listening and watching to attend the next session of the conference devoted to enacting the 2021 Talloires Declaration. And for now, as Mr. Mack would say, au revoir, and keep learning by doing.